Hello and welcome to the CAPL programming training. Today we are going to discuss about instructions in CAPL, operators and some functions. We're going to discuss about the library, the CAPL functions library, so the functions which are defined and you can use directly. Um, so let's start to see about instructions. Instruction blocks. So we have here within parentheses some commands. This is an instruction block. We have the if and if else instructions. So it's like in C. It's no difference. So it's really easy to use. If count less than 50, then count increment count, right? But if we have only um, one command here, it's not needed to use the parentheses. So we have here the if else, an if else example, the switch case and default. Those all of those instructions are keywords. So as we discussed in the last sessions. So I have a switch here, case one, case two. We use a function and we use the break keyword after each case and the default. Okay. For while do, while loops, for e from 0 to 100, we just create a sum. While, I have a while here. Do while, we have the continue and break. Use a for here, and if the ri is equal to 0, then we use the continue, just go further, and the break when we want to stop to break from a for example, we just use the break. And the return keyword, this is used in the definition of the functions. So if we have a function here, we just return the result with the return keyword. Okay. For operators, um, in CAPL, the same arithmetic, logical, and bitwise operator are provided. So we have plus, multiplication, plus, equal, multiple, equal, logical, or plus, plus, and etc. So if you know C and you use the operators from C, it's very easy to use them here. For bitwise comparison, this operator is available. At equality, the bit will be set to 0, otherwise to 1. Okay. If you want to negate all bits, you have to use this operator. Okay. And we have some logical operators. Have equal, not equal, less than or equal, greater than or equal. Um, I think nothing much to be said here, just to be aware of them. So the expressions, the functions, the operators are exactly as in C. So we can continue to the CAPL functions. This is a specific chapter here. We have technical reference for all the functions which are defined in CAPL and you can directly use. We have here the general functions and event procedures. We have the bus protocol functions. So for each bus protocol, we have specific functions, and we have team specific function. For example, for ADAS, for CANSTRESS, for diagnostic, and so on. Let's take a look on the general functions. So here we have the general functions, access to hardware. I will just go through them and maybe stop on some of them which are more important. Access to Canoe variables and panels, get value size, get value determines the value of an environment value variable. If you want to see how to use the function, you just click on the function, and here you have function syntax. You have for some functions, you have different forms depending on the return type or the parameters you can use. So you can see here multiple variants of using this function. You have 9 forms, a lot. You have the description of the function, what the function does, the parameters you can use here, and the return values, right? You need to know what to expect when you execute the function. And of course, the example, you have some examples here you can use. Sometimes it's just easy to copy the example and use it and adapt it for your needs. And the availability on which version of Canoe and or VT Studio it's compatible with. So if you go back, um, you have a lot of functions, general variables, and panel functions. Autosar PDU, byte swapping, so those functions will swap bytes of parameter. Database access, those can be useful if you want to access some naming or some details from the database directly in your CAPL code. Um, for example, I used to get the the meaning and the maximum values defined for some signals on a boundary value check test case. So look for PDU, look up for signal, and so on. End-to-end protection functions help you to calculate the CRC of a message or PDU. FDX function, file functions, if you want to create files or use different files in your code, you can use those functions. It's similar as in C, but maybe a little bit different. Flow control, can offline, cuts the connection between the node and the bus, can online, so you can start and stop the CAN transmission. Stop general function, um, or one general function which is useful is get bus context, returns the current bus context of the couple block. This is very useful when you have a simulation using multiple CAN buses. So when you use CAN functions, you need to specify on which CAN do you want to use those functions. So you get the bus context or you set the bus context. So you set the bus context to 1. That means that you are going to use the next functions on the CAN 1. So it's not confusing, because if you don't use this, your function will take randomly your messages or signals, and probably it won't be okay. Um, Graphic window, language support. Count determines the number of elements of array, file name, run error, halt. Logging functions, if you want to use the logging in your CAPL code, um, you can use those functions. Set log file name, start logging, stop logging, so very useful in this case. Offline functions, replay functions, I think string functions are more important. Have a lot of string functions which are very useful. So atoll converts a string to a long number. Atoll BL converts a string into a double number. L2A converts a number to a string. This one compares two strings, copies a string to another string. So prints a formatted string to character. This is used a lot. So yeah, a lot of string functions. Time management. I used the cancel timer function, stops an active timer. Not so many here in the time management function. I didn't use, because usually I use the timer on event procedure, so on which we can control the timing of an event happening, or to measure the time, I usually use the test wait for functions. You have a lot of test wait for functions, which basically will give you the time until an event occurred. So we will have example in further sessions, but yeah, but maybe you need some time management, so it's useful. Mathematical function, the classical math functions, which you can find in C. Use an interaction. From here, I think the most important is the write function. Outputs a text message to the right window. So um, it's very useful, especially when you want to do debugging, because I think there was a question in some commentaries on the YouTube channel, if there is a debugging option in Canoe. I think they have something, but I didn't use it. Even the vector guys said that it's not recommended to use. So, but if you use a write function in your code, basically you can print the variables and everything what happens in your code, and you can just watch it in the right window in the Canoe. So this is kind of a debugging way to use. Okay, let's go back to the main chapter, and we took a look on the general functions. System variables, very useful. Sys define variable data, defines a variable of data type, defines a namespace. Um, so get variable data returns the value of a variable of the data type. Get variable min max. Set the value of a variable. Um, set variable int sets the value of a variable of the type int. Variable filters you can do here, so those can be useful too. Let's take a short look on the conf functions. Get signal name, return the signal name at index position in a payload of con message. So if you have the message, you just give the bit position, the bit start position for the signal, and get the name. Get message ID. We have the event procedures, which we are going to use in further examples. On message, on signal change, on bus off, on error active, and so on. We have general function. mkexid, this returns an extended ID. So when you want to send extended ID on cons, you can just put the normal ID and use this function um, to change it, to convert it in an extended ID. Outputs a message or error frame from the program block. Configure bus off. Hardware API. I think this one it's useful. It's can set channel mode, so basically activates the takes of the CAN controller. So if you want to disable the transmission of the CAN controller, you can use this one. Channel output defines the response of the CAN controller, the bus traffic, and sets to acknowledge bit. Reset CAN can be useful, and I recommend it to use it when you create a bus off on CAN. After creating bus off on CAN, you need to use this function because the transceiver will be stuck somehow and you need to reset the CAN controller. We have the selector message and error frame. Statistic, the bus load, you can get the bus load of a current channel. Error frame count can be useful. Yes, and so on. We have the Ethernet functions here. We won't stay on those for now. Here you have more the methods for the Ethernet packet, right? On Ethernet we are going to use a lot the Ethernet packet, and you have a lot of useful methods to handle the Ethernet packet. And yes, of course, we have the diagnostic functions. We have a lot of we have some examples here. Basic CAPL procedure for a tester implementation. Create and send a request. How you create and send a request, and changing the raw parameters of a request. So a lot of examples useful. we are going to go deeper in the diagnostic. So I think that's an overview. Here it's a technical reference of the CAPL functions. It's easy to find them. Sometimes it's not so easy because the naming are not so how to say easy to think or imagine to search. So I think this is the last theoretical session. From the next session, we are going to have more example and more practical examples. So stay tuned. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and see you.